Hello, welcome back to Jordan with Coffee. My name is Jordan. Here is my coffee. And we're back. We are back after about 2 weeks, just under 2 weeks, since I recorded and uploaded my last episode, which was, I guess, the rebranding of Jordan with Coffee. And I'm back, and I'm really excited to record, and also might explain why I sound so hyper to myself, because I'm recording with 2 weeks since the last time I recorded, and I really didn't expect myself to do that. I really did expect to record monthly at the very least, but today I felt recording, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited to be here. Really excited to talk to everyone and talk about what I want to talk about, because isn't that what this whole podcast is about? So what I want to talk about, and I want to talk about a couple things. First off, thank you to all the support from my previous episode when I quote-unquote came back. A lot of people were supportive. A lot of people were supportive that, I brought it back. Some people were a little excited, and it made me happy. I think my my last episode is I think last I checked, which was the day after I uploaded, maybe it was 50 views, which is, I think, my highest view count of all my episodes, which is really exciting, and I really do hope that you enjoyed and that you'll continue to listen. Don't go away, please. It's really nice to be back. Everyone was really supportive, me bringing my podcast back, and I'm really excited to bring it back. I also decided on the fly, immediately after recording that episode, to rebrand myself. I wasn't in love with my old logo. That was something I just kind of threw together the day that I wanted to record my first episode. That was again, I wasn't in love with it, but I think at the time it served its purpose, and I was like, I can rebrand whenever. And then I figured, what better way to rebrand than with my resurrection of my podcast. So immediately after recording, I threw together another logo, but it was different because I understood graphic design more than I did last time. With my first logo, I don't think I really understood, or rather, I wasn't really creative with my design. I wanted a coffee mug, which I did, but it always seemed off to me because I feel like there was a lot of negative space inside the coffee cup. But I kind of just figured I'll figure something out. And I also wanted to use Futura really bad, because Futura is one of my favorite fonts. It is a really, really classy font. Sans serif, mwah, mwah, bravo. But I was really set on using Futura, so I just kind of did that, and that was my logo for 7 episodes. Again, it was fine, but then with the rebrand, I'm actually really, really happy with how that came out again, even though I did do it in 25 minutes. I was excited because I figured out how to incorporate a J for Jordan with a coffee mug to represent coffee. So I'm really excited about that. And if you notice, not only is the mug handle an O, but it's also a backward C for coffee. What? I'm talking about this as if it's in front of me, when in fact it'll be in front of you if you are watching this video, or if it's somewhere on your tab. You can go to that tab, look at the logo real quick, notice the mug handle as a backward C, and then continue on with your day. But yeah, the rebranding, I think it went well. I think that it's a lot better than the first logo, but I also think I can improve other things. I go for a more minimal approach with logos and brands, because I think that's just what appeals to me personally. When I look at logos, look at branding, look at advertisements, I look for the minimal thing, stuff that's kind of obnoxious in your face. I like that too, but not really my style of design. But I do want to work on that, because I kind of want to try any and all designs that are trending, more popular than others at the time of whenever I design whatever. But yeah, right now I'm really starting to get logo designing, and it's really exciting. And what better way to practice it than with my own podcast? I'm hoping that it's actually a good logo. I actually considered showing my design professors my logo, but then I decided not to, because I didn't want them to hate it. And I know that it would be really good criticism and good feedback for them, or for me, if I show them that. But I'm personally really proud of it, and for me, that's all that matters. I really don't need other people's input on it. I really like it, some of my friends like it, and that's all that matters to me. So, I hope you like the rebrand. You might like it, like the video, if you like the video, like the episode or whatever, if you like the rebrand. I personally like it, so I'm gonna like my own podcast. So what have I done in the past couple weeks since I recorded? I went to 2 concerts. I'm going to talk about one of them first. The first one I went to, which was on October 4th. I went to see my favorite band of all time, Greeting Committee. The Greeting Committee, I believe I talked about them months ago when I went to see them in mid-February, maybe? Or maybe I didn't talk about it. I definitely talked about it when I saw them last September. I didn't talk about them when I saw them back in February, and I obviously didn't talk about it when I went like 2 weeks ago. So let's talk about that. Greeting Committee is one of my favorite bands. They are a fantastic indie pop, indie rock band from Kansas City, and they are lovely. They're a bunch of I believe they're all in their early 20s, just like me, and they have tremendous talent, and they actually know me. Yes, they do know me. I can say that. They know me because the lead singer knows who I am. The lead singer's name is Addie, and she is this short, high-energy lead singer of the band, and she is she is fantastic. She has great showmanship on stage, and it is amazing to watch live, and that's why I see them anytime they're in the New England area. But I remember back in February when I went to see them, they actually gave me a free ticket and a +1 for my birthday, because my birthday was on February 23rd, and I believe the concert was 2 days after my birthday. So they decided to give me a free ticket, which was really nice, and I really appreciate it, and I went to go see them. They opened for the band Arkells, and that was really cool. I went for Greeting Committee because I'm a dirty hipster. And after their set, what they like to do is they like to go hang out by the merch booth and kind of do a meet and greet, which is really nice because they could charge for meet and greet, and I would pay whatever they charge. But I remember waiting in line for merch, 'cause I was buying merch, and then the whole band came over, and I was like, oh, cool, I'll buy merch, and then I'll talk to them. But then my friends Eric and Jane, they weren't buying merch, they just went straight to talking to them, and as I'm waiting in line to buy merch, they point at me, and Addie comes over to me and she goes hi, Jordan, happy birthday. And it made me melt because 1, she remembered who I was, and 2, she said happy birthday, and that was really pleasant. So that was a great show. Arkells were really good. Then fast forward to not this past Friday, but Friday before that, when I went to go see them open for Bombay Bicycle Club. It was somewhere in Boston, I believe. What I didn't realize is that Bombay Bicycle Club, so they're a really good indie rock band, which you should check out. They had gone on a 4 or 5 year hiatus. This was their return tour, and I didn't realize that until I was in line for about an hour, because they said doors opened at 6 and they didn't open till 7, so I got in line by 5:50 with Eric, and we were waiting, and we were talking to these 2 people in front of us, and then I turned around at some point, maybe 10 minutes before they opened the doors, and there had just been so many people had piled up behind us, just all in line. I was like, oh my god. It was maybe 200 people, which is, I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but that's one of the biggest concerts I've been to, because I go to small concerts because they're cheaper. So we all go in, and I somehow managed to get into the front, in the front row, front barricade, which was insane. So in the front, it's me, my friend Eric, and then the 2 guys we met, Andrew and Will. And Greeting Committee comes on, and they're fantastic. They play all their hits. They play You've Got Me. They play Don't Go. They play Hands Down. They play all of their great hits of the indie scene. And the whole time, I'm singing along because I know all of their songs, not to brag. But then the lead singer keeps looking at me. Addie keeps looking at me because I'm in the front, and I'm just singing along with her, and it's really nice, that acknowledgement of yes, I see you going hard in front of the crowd. And then set's over, it's great. Lead singer goes to the merch table, and I just want to say hi. And I had already bought all the merch they were selling, so I was I don't need merch. I just want to talk to Addie. And I go, and me and Eric go, and she just sees me, and we say hi. She recognized me. We just chat for a bit. And the funny part is she didn't recognize Eric. which is it's funny because Eric's been to every concert they've been at that I've been at. So anytime I go and see them, Eric comes with me, and they recognize me because I'm just like active on Twitter with them occasionally, and Eric just doesn't have Twitter, and I guess that's the reason why like they recognize me. But it's just really funny because Eric was so sure that they knew who he was, and it's kind of funny. And I know it might be like a little sad, but it's funny because if you don't know what Eric looks like, he is a white guy with a beard, and that's all you need to know. He just looks like a white guy with a beard. But that was great. And then Bombay Bicycle Club came up, and that was Andrew and Will's favorite band, and they had just come back, so it was exciting. And I was in the front, and I realized I don't deserve the front right now. It's not my favorite band that's coming up. I haven't waited 4 or 5 years for them to come back. So I like turned to the people behind me and I was like, hey, do you guys want the front? Because I was mostly here for the opening band and I already saw them. So if you want it. And they just took it and it was a great time. Me and Eric kind of were off to the side enjoying the band and they were really good. It was really cool seeing a giant crowd like dance along and like sing along to all their songs while not being in the crowd, you know? Because we were like kind of near the bar. So we weren't in the crowd, but we were like seeing. There was like ample space between us and the audience, and it was just a bunch of people just singing and dancing, and it was great. It was so cool. So after the concert was over, me and Eric offered Andrew and Will a ride to the station they were going to because they took a train to Boston, and the station that they were going to was about a 40-minute walk from the venue. So we were like, let's not, because we were parked across the street. We paid for like, we paid $150? No, not $150, but it felt like that. We paid maybe like $30 for parking. We're like, do you guys just want to ride? Because we're parked right across the street. And they were like really stoked about it. So they came with us, we dropped them off, and like it was really cool having that like camaraderie at a concert. And like we exchanged like info, and like now we're all friends. So Andrew and Will, if you listen to this, what up? Hi, hello, what's going on? Hope you guys got home safe that night, and rock on. You guys are really cool, and I hope to see you guys soon. It was weird. I was so okay with never seeing them again. And I mean that in the best way. Like, you know how like at like concerts, like big shows, you might like talk to someone and you might be friends for that night, and you might like get their name and just like, you know, be friends that night, but then you just never get their information. But you just have that memory of like, remember those guys that we hung out with at the concert? They were really cool. I hope they're doing well. But it's like that mystery of like, they're doing well. Those are good people. I know they're doing well. But now it's like, I wonder how Andrew's doing. And I just check Instagram and I see what he's up to. And I was like, okay, cool. He's doing great. But it's nice now that like, you know, we chat sometimes and it's really cool. And, you know, sometime at some point we might like, you know, be going to the same concert in Boston at some point. So no doubt I'll see them soon. They were really cool. And I'd hang out with them again. They were cool. And that was the Greeting Committee and Bombay Bicycle Club. And that was a great time. I bought a shirt because I always have to buy something when I'm at a concert because I'm a victim of capitalism and I want to represent good bands. Speak of good bands, last night actually, I saw Caro Bonito. And my goodness, was that a it was such a good show. Caro Bonito, they're one of the more mainstream, like, indie, like, niche scenes. Like, I like describing Caro Bonito as an indie band based out of London that does J-pop. And that's factual. They are incredible. They use, like, indie rock and indie pop and, like, rap and, like, screaming combining with, like, J-pop, and it's fantastic, and their sound is amazing. So I went with my friends, Sawyer, Gabby, and Peter. We took a train from Quincy. Then from that train, we took a smaller train to the venue, which was, I believe, Paradise Rock Club. And we went in, and we got there maybe like 15 minutes after the opener started performing. And the opener was Negative Gemini, and they were like really cool. Like this very like melodic, like soothing, but also like heavy, like indie, like bedroom pop in some way. That's how kind of the vibe I got. And they were really good, but we were kind of figuring out like a spot to find because the crowd, first off, the show was sold out, and that terrified me, because I I don't know how I do in giant crowds. 'Cause I've never been to a show with a giant crowd. Like all the shows I've been to, they've been like very indie, very low key, and very like not exciting music, but like really like indie pop rock music. So like still like hyper like hype. So still like hype, but not like moshing rock, you know? So I was a little terrified because Caro Bonito has very, very like heavy rock songs that they play, and I was just like, I don't know, I didn't want to get moshed, you know, and we get to the show. When we got to the show, we just saw just a giant crowd, and that was fine. I expected that because Caro Bonito is a very popular band among like the indie scene, but the funny part was, it was it was the most diverse crowd that I had ever seen. Um, how I describe it is, you're looking at the crowd, and then you see person A, and you see person A, and you kind of like you can tell from like how they look and how they dress, like their aesthetic, their like vibe. Again, I said vibe. I hate myself. You can tell. I said vibe again. I can't help but say vibe in like an unironic way. I don't do it like when I'm not recording, but it's like that's just like how I describe it. So, oh my god. Let me restart. You can see person A. You could like just by how they're dressed and like how they're like kind of being. They like you can tell like their taste in music, like their niche, their energy, their aesthetic, and all that. And then you like see on the other side of the crowd person B and their whole thing, their energy, their aesthetic, their like mood, and they're both distinctly different. And person A and person B would never ever talk to each other or hang out. It just seems like that. But they're together here at this Caro Bonito concert. That was the crowd. It was like not middle aged. It was like mid-20s white guys that are like, like in Hawaiian shirts and like hoodies and everything. And then there's like small Asians in like just absurd outfits. And then there's people who are like dressed. There was this girl there. She had a pink like fur jacket that was like lighting up from the interior somehow. It was so sick. And like that was a crowd, and it was like really cool to see like just like this diverse group of people all together to see Caro Bonito. And when they started playing, it was fantastic. My favorite songs that they do were Break, Only Acting, Flamingo, Trampoline. It just goes on. They're an incredible band. Do check them out. Actually, check out all the bands that I mentioned today, because they are all good. They're all like fairly indie, so you might not have heard of them. And if you hear, and then you might listen to them, and you might like them, and that'd be cool. You could discover new music, and isn't that what everyone wants? And that was a fun time. And then afterward, we got IHOP, and it was great. And IHOP is, I don't know how I feel about IHOP, to be honest. I love IHOP because they have chicken and waffles, and there is no better food than chicken and waffles, because the idea of chicken and waffles should not exist. The idea of chicken, of like fried chicken, and the idea of waffles, like just Belgian waffles, those are distinct universes. That's like person A and person B. Like person A is fried chicken, person B is waffles. Never should they ever be together. But then someone made them together. And now they are just permanently together, and they are better together. Because chicken and waffles is so amazing. And I'm ranting about chicken and waffles because it is an amazing dish. It is one of the best dishes to eat at all points. Is it breakfast? Is it lunch? Is it dinner? Who knows? You don't care. I don't care. Eat chicken and waffles whenever you please. But I got chicken and waffles, and I got pancakes because I was really hungry. And it's about 1:30 at night, and we're all like just chilling, like eating and like having a good time, and like kind of talking about the concert and like feeling like, what's your favorite part? What's your favorite part? And then I start hearing clapping from the kitchen, and then I realize that it's someone's birthday, and I personally, I don't like when I go to a restaurant and someone tells them it's my birthday, especially when it's not my birthday. Um, but I don't know. I know some people like that because you get like a free dessert or whatever. But I don't like that because I don't like making a scene at restaurants because restaurants are supposed to be peaceful. But there is something worse than birthdays at a restaurant, and that is birthdays at a restaurant at 1:30 in the morning, because all of a sudden everyone there is like tired. No matter who you are, if you're at an IHOP at 1:30 in the morning, you're tired. Maybe not like exhausted, but you're sleepy and you could go to bed soon. And all of a sudden, all these tired people are just clapping along to all waiters and waitresses as they're like presenting, like, I don't know, like a stack of pancakes to the birthday person. And I realize that that is the most terrible thing to do on someone's birthday. And I'm gonna do it to one of my friends on their birthday because it's awful. It is not a good time. Because at least, it's 1:30 in the morning. No one wants to like celebrate their birthday in that way, of like just a bunch of strangers just clapping along and saying happy birthday or whatever. And it's evil. It's one of the most evil things I've seen, and I can't wait to do that to one of my friends. But that's it. And then actually, I don't know, I didn't mention this earlier. My voice is shot, maybe partially, because I was screaming at the concert last night, just having a fun time. I didn't really I wasn't really conscious about my voice because you're in a crowd, you're gonna scream and shout and like just cheer and woo. But I'm surprised and I'm a little upset that my voice isn't as shot and as gone, because I love losing my voice. I think the first time I ever lost my voice was after like some show. I think I like was just screaming the entire time, and I woke up the next day and my voice was just shot. It wasn't there, and I was so happy, because growing up as a kid, you would hear about losing your voice on cartoons or whatever, but they wouldn't like portray it as like you can still talk. It's just like not you don't really have a voice. It's just kind of like raspy and like fried sounding. But it's in cartoons you just don't talk because like, oh, you lost your voice, you're not gonna talk. And I thought that was it. For a while I thought that was it. And then my friends started losing their voices, and they were like, oh no, I can still talk, but I can't really like enunciate or like raise my voice. And I was like, I want to do that. And I finally did it, and it was the reason why it's so exciting to me, or like so it's mind-boggling and it's so cool, is because like your voice just doesn't work. Like your voice is just tired and it just won't work. I remember when I lost my voice for the first time, I just tried to like scream or like yell, and nothing came out, and it was so crazy. I sound stupid right now because I'm like, oh my god, losing your voice is the coolest thing ever. Whenever I tell my friends that, they don't get it because they don't like losing their voice. I like losing my voice, but especially when I just don't feel like talking. But maybe today isn't the best day to have my voice partially shot because I'm recording a podcast, but I digress. Another thing that I did since the last episode was I wrote an article. So as some of you know, as some of you don't know, I work for the school newspaper on campus. It's called The Torch. It's great. And I am currently the assistant lead designer, and it's great. I get to design the arts and entertainment section for my newspaper. It's really cool, and it gives me experiences to for my graphic design career whenever it happens, post-college. And that's something that I used to do last year, at least, was help my friend Sawyer do album reviews, because he was into album reviews. He was a writer last year. He is now section editor of Arts and Entertainment, so we kind of collaborate on the A&E section every week. But when he did write, he would more often than not pick the album review to do, so we would just kind of get together, we'd pick an album, and I never took credit for like helping him because he did all the writing. I just liked listening to the album with him, like front to back, and then like kind of giving my thoughts and like kind of giving like some comments about that. I remember we sat down and listened to the Lil Pump Harvard Dropout album. That was fun. It was fun because it was a bad time. Then we listened to the Anderson .Paak album, which was prime. It was fantastic. And it kind of got me wanting to write an album review myself. But because I'm getting paid as a designer, I don't really have to do any writing. But it's they offer anyone to write as a contributing writer. If they just don't, if they don't want a job or they can't get a job, but they want to write just for like maybe experience or just like, because it's cool to get your work published on a school newspaper, even though maybe like 50 people on campus read it out of like the 2,000 people that come here. But, some people just write for free. And I kind of told myself that, like, if I ever have like a lot of free time, I'll like write the album review. So there was one day, it was actually on the way to the Greeting Committee concert a couple Fridays ago. I was talking to Eric, and he was talking about the pitches he had picked up, and I was excited to see what album they decided to review. And then Eric goes, I don't think anyone picked it. So then I went on the Facebook group, and no one had picked the album review. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I just want to write an album review because I think it's a good time, and I think that music theory is a cool thing to talk about, especially if it's an album you like. So I decided, I'll do the album review, and then I talked to Sawyer. I was like, I'm going to review the Hobo Johnson album because that is, in my opinion, a really good album. What I didn't realize was that the review wasn't for the upcoming issue of The Torch. It was for the following issue of The Torch. So I wasn't aware of that. I thought it was due, like, in a couple days. So I wrote, like, half of it, like, the night after I picked up the pitch. And I talked to Sawyer, and I was like, hey, I'll have the album review by like maybe Monday or Tuesday. And he was like, you don't need it till Friday. And it's like, oh, okay. But then Sawyer told me how he was short a couple articles because some people just like hadn't picked up any pitches that he gave, so he was short I believe one article, and he needed, because you need 6 articles for A&E section, and I believe he had 5. So he said, if you can get the review done by the time we need to print it and put it in, because I would actually be putting it in myself, then it can go in the next issue. And I go, okay, cool, I guess I'll do it. And I was like kind of working on it, not hardcore, but like, if I had time, I would just like listen to whatever song I'm listening to on the album and like review it as like part of the article. And then Sawyer was like, hey, can you get it done for this issue? And I go, probably. And he goes, you can make it as long as you want, because I have an issue with issue, get it, because of newspaper. I have an issue with word minimums and maximums, not in the sense where like, I can't reach the minimum. Rather, I exceed the maximum that anyone gives me, because I just like really like stretching my thoughts, maybe a little too thin, because I don't like really condensing my thoughts, because I don't know how to condense like the thoughts I have about songs. So I believe, what was it? So the Torch, so the article limit, I believe, is like 600 to 800 words. And because Sawyer gave me the okay to write as long or as much as I wanted to, I wrote 1,600 words for this album review. I believe it's like 12 songs. So it's probably like, it's really long. It was like a page and a half on the Torch. Actually, no. Was it? No, it was actually a full page. I don't know why I'm saying that. It was a full page of just one album review, and I believe we had to split it into 2 like separate spreads because it looked weird if you would just put one story on one page, because then it'd just be like a block of text with like 2 images, because I decided to do 2 images. I reviewed it, and it was really cool, and it got printed, and I'm probably gonna keep it forever because it is technically My first publication of any writing I've ever done. And fun fact, had I not done graphic design in college, I would have considered doing English because I wouldn't say I'm really good at writing. I just really like writing. Specifics like are important when it comes to like um, my relationship, I guess, with writing, because I really like writing. I think it's just a nice thing to do, and like whenever I want to write things, I can like write like paragraphs upon paragraphs of it. That's kind of why I have issues with like exceeding maximums, because I always do that whenever I would do like essays in high school, and even like the very few English classes I took in college, I would always like the word minimum was like, all right, a minimum of like 500 words. And I was like, okay, cool, that's the minimum. And I would reach 500, and then I would do like 400 more. And that was, I don't think people minded, but I understood like some professors probably didn't want to read all that stuff because it probably could be condensed into 500 instead of 900 words. That's how I write, is just like long. The thing is, I can't write about something if I'm not remotely interested in it or passionate about it or like have any knowledge on it, because for me it's just hard. Like I don't like writing about things I don't want to write about. And like that seems like really stubborn, and I'm glad I'm not an English major because I know that a lot of times you gotta write about stuff you're not interested in. And it's weird because I know that my writing, my everyone who like reads my writing say it's really good, and like I can't really judge quality on writing because I don't know, I'm not an English major, but writing's really cool, and I wish that I could write about stuff that I didn't like about like heavily, but I just can't. I remember, and again in high school, there'd be times where we'd have to write about stuff, and I would have a lot of trouble writing about it if I didn't care. I like didn't care about anything that I was writing about. It would take me. I obviously would write about it because that's a grade, but it would just be a lot of trouble. Not a lot of trouble. It'd be a lot of hassle and a lot of difficulty for me to write about that stuff. And that's kind of why I decided not to go for English, because again, like I said, I can't write about anything unless I like it, and that's not why I did graphic design. I did graphic design because I was really into graphic design at the time, and I still am. I'm really excited to finally get my graphic design degree. But maybe in a past life I would have been a writer for some sorts. But that is that like a normal thing to like not being able to write about something you're not passionate about? Because I'm like that for writing, and I'm also kind of like that for reading. Because in high school, if I couldn't read anything unless I liked it because it was just so difficult. I remember reading like Wuthering Heights, which is a really long, really messed up like story. But it was just so long, it was so dragged out, and I couldn't for the life of me like read it like without really pausing or like taking frequent breaks. So I would just read SparkNotes. Shocker, I read SparkNotes. Everyone reads SparkNotes. It's weird because I couldn't read things unless I was really into it, but is that just because I'm just stubborn with this, which is like how I am as a person, and like as a person who like reads or writes? Because even then, or maybe because I have a problem with authority, or at least like maybe teachers. Because I remember wanting to read 1975, and I know like not a lot of people like 1975. I think it's black and white with that book. People either love it or hate it. I didn't mind it when I had to read it, but I remember wanting to read it before I got assigned to read it in my class. And as soon as my teacher was like, you have to read 1975, I didn't want to read it anymore because it was just the idea that I have to do it, even though I wanted to. But it's weird because like with Wuthering Heights, I didn't want to read it and I had to read it, so that's why I had difficulty like reading it and like comprehending it. But with like 1975, I wanted to read it and I had to read it, and I still had difficulty like comprehending it or like reading it and like getting through it. And I think it's just the idea that like I had to, not wanted to, I had to read it. That was the difficulty, because as soon as I have to do something, I don't want to do it. It's I understand that it sounds stupid, and it really is. It sounds batshit crazy that like I want to do something, and as soon as I am told to do it, I don't want to do it. It's like when I do dishes. Like I'll happily do the dishes at my house, but as soon as, my mom tells me to do dishes, I'll do it, albeit reluctantly, because all of a sudden my good deed, my selflessness becomes seen as like a task that I'm doing. And I don't like that. I like doing things because I want to do them. Maybe for like myself or like for other people. But as soon as like it's seen as an expectancy, I don't want to do it. I think that's it. I don't like doing things when they're expected of me. I like doing things because I want to do it. That's that. That's all I want to talk about today. And this is a really short episode. It's shorter than last episode, but that's okay, because I kind of realized that I talk fast, because I thought, like, on my notes, all I wanted to do was talk about my rebranding and the 2 concerts I went to. And I remember when I was done talking about all those things, it was only 25 minutes. So then I had to continue talking. And fortunately, I found stuff to talk about. But yeah, that's the episode. I know it's a short episode, shorter than last episode, but hopefully I'll be back soon with another episode for you guys. Again, I don't know how consistent I'm going to upload and talk to you guys, because I don't always have stuff to talk about like today. Like today, I had maybe 40 minutes of content to talk about. And who knows, maybe next week or like in 2 weeks, I'll have 2 hours of content to talk about. I probably won't, because I'll probably condense that 2 hours worth of content into like 45 minutes because I just ramble. But yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. So thank you so much for listening to Jordan with Coffee. I have been Jordan. I have had coffee. And thank you again so much for listening. Goodbye.